in February.
Okay.
So whatever the best content that you want.
Okay. Great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I just realized like there was like 6 people that didn't have battle buddies. I'm like, what the heck am I doing with my life?
Well, I thought I you're so funny. I thought that we weren't it wasn't starting until February.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Which is true, right? So yeah, February 1st is like the official launch, but there's like a current pre-launch going on right now. And so that's why it's like you can not do any meetings until February. That's fine too. Whatever makes sense, right? Whatever you want to do.
I'm gonna
But
get all of my everything out that I can.
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, exactly. Get while the getting's good.
That's right.
So, Mr. Carl, you're still
Hello.
driving?
Always.
You're always driving. I thought
Right now
that
I'm heading over to the
went
unemployment
away.
office, and then I'm going to go look at a couple of houses, and then I'm going to do some driving for dollars while I'm looking around, and then
There you
I'm going to
go.
head home and work on my list.
Love it.
Well, between looking for work this morning and working on my list.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the funny thing is, I'm actually finding that I'm working on my lists and stuff when I'm instead of watching TV. So it's kind of funny.
Well, that's good. Yeah. How
Well,
much
I'm not
money?
complaining. I'm just finding it humorous.
Yeah. Well, that's how it happens for everyone. You know, when you're first starting out, your leisure time, you're using it for what, just watching TV, wasting your time, distraction.
Yep.
But then you have a goals and you're ready to start setting things up. Ooh, I'm supposed to send all this to.
Well, I was up at 5 a.m. this morning and working on my list.
Yeah.
I didn't go to bed until like 11 o'clock last night because I was working on my list.
There you go. So when is it ready to be called on? Have you started calling the list yet?
As soon as I get home, I've got, I think, 25 names I'm going to work on.
Nice.
I had to go to the doctor and get my stitches out of my leg. And now I got to go over to the unemployment office because I made a mistake when I filed my claim. I'm going to go fix that.
Right. Okay.
And then I've got 2 houses I've got to go look at. And then as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to go do some driving for dollars. And then I'm going to head home and make some phone calls.
Love it. Love it, man.
So I will be off camera and muted for the next few minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Do what you got to do, man. You got it. Love it. Okay. I think we were just about ready to start. Yeah. Okay. Exciting stuff. Okay, cool. Carla's jumping on. Daniel's here. Nice. Carl, Laura, Rachel, how's it going? Sandra. Sandra, I'm gonna send you, if I can send you that link, I forgot to do that. Let me share it with you right now because I'm gonna forget.
No worries. But send it.
Exactly. No worries. As long as you
No
send it.
worries. Yes.
If you don't send it, then there's something to worry about. Yeah.
No, that's fine.
I know. No,
I keep bugging you.
no, I appreciate that. Sandra Nance. Okay. Let me get some co-hosts going. All right, I just texted it to you. Perfect.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, Aubrey, I'm going to make you a co-host if you can help bring people in. Appreciate it.
Yep, sure thing.
Thank you, Carla. Same thing. Always good at extra hands. Okay, awesome, guys. So how did you guys think it went yesterday? You know, we did the activity. Everyone made calls. What was some takeaways? What was so we had to end it kind of abruptly, but what was some thoughts from yesterday's?
Great. I finally broke through my fear of doing it.
Okay, so it forced you to do it, to jump in and start taking action. Okay,
Yeah, the deep end. So it worked out really well.
yeah. Okay, sweet. So you had a fear of doing it, but then forcing yourself for this time, you were able to. You're not as scared to continue doing it on your own, right?
No, no, not in the slightest.
There you go.
I've got, like I said, I've got another 25 so far today that I'm going to be calling on,
There you go.
and we'll see what happens. And
Yep.
unfortunately, the one guy that I talked to yesterday who told me to call him back last night didn't answer and didn't call me back. So we'll see what happens with that.
That'll happen. That's
I'll
okay.
give him a call here in a couple of days.
Oh, I wonder. Sorry, we'll distract you guys today. There we go. Much better. Okay.
Well, we can still see you. There's definitely a problem.
I know, right? Yeah. You have to deal with this mug, you poor people. Okay. All right. Let's talk about follow-up. What's in the fortune is in the what? What's that? Who can finish that phrase? The fortune is in what?
The follow-up.
There we go. Thank you. Okay, I'm just making sure we're all awake. Yeah, the fortune is in the follow-up. And I can't tell you how important it is to have some sort of follow-up system that makes sense for you and your level of business. Because as you grow, you're going to have more leads, you're going to have more deals working, and you're going to have to get more complex systems to manage all that. While you're first starting out, like a whiteboard is probably good enough. You know, I still use whiteboard in a lot of my things, and when I should transfer them over to the CRM I have, but I like to see things. So even if it's like you're doing a ton of business and that whiteboard works, then awesome. And maybe you're just starting out and you want to get really fancy CRM, that's okay too. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because you spend more time making the CRM fancy, you know, getting all those everything perfect than instead of actually making a phone call or something, you know. So that's an easy trap to fall into. I can't tell you guys how many times I've had deals where I first make from contact of the seller, the first contact until we actually close. The vast majority of them. Oh, sorry. So yeah. Um, so at the CRM. So it is. What does CRM stand for, guys? It is customer. It's basically a way to track your leads. Oh, what is that? Let me Google it. Hang on a second. CRM meaning. What does it stand for? Customer relation management. I don't know why they call it like that. Anyways, but basically it's just a way to keep track of your leads, where they're at, like in your funnel in the process. Like, have you set an appointment with this person? Cool. Do they say yes? Okay, yes, they say yes. Where are they at on the whole process? So that's what a CRM is. There's plenty of really good options. Nutshell, I like Nutshell. If you want to get into really fancy stuff, you can go into Go High Level, which you can do like anything on. And if you have questions about stuff like that, I would definitely reach out to Christine. Christina, she's awesome. That's kind of like her building systems for businesses, like her forte. That's what her business does. So it's pretty cool. But for the there we go. But for like I was saying before, like the progress from like when I first have contact with the seller and actually closing. So for just an example, this is somewhat average, right? So the one that we're closing on today, with Creighton and I, we first contacted him the very end of November, and we're closing today. So we're in it like 6 weeks before we actually closed. That's a pretty decent run. There's been other times where if I've contacted them and then like a year later we're actually closing. Or I've even had people reach out back out to me like even longer than a year than when we first started having contacts, or not, or even me reaching out to them, and then we rekindle things and getting that up. So just because someone says no now doesn't mean that it's a no forever. And that's where you want to kind of develop some sort of follow-up system where you can follow up without wasting a lot of time. Because because what a lot of people do, here's another person traps to avoid when you're following up. Sometimes we'll get 10 potential leads. Okay. They're open to having conversations with you. They're just, they're there. It's hard it's hard deal to hear. Oh, can you hear me okay, Heather?
No, it's not that I can't hear you. I was just so close to that deal being mine that it's like a lesson for anybody on here. If you are parking on taking action, just know somebody else is, and that deal could have been yours. This one could have been mine. I was so close. This guy said yes to me.
We're gonna make like 70 grand on it too. So
I know.
let everyone know. Let everyone know
Gosh.
what happened. And just so that, I mean, because it's a good lesson, right? I mean, it is that things happen. Yeah. Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, so I was calling on the same list as Cretan, and I don't know, I was taking action just like he was, but I guess we were a different part of the list. I don't know. 2 days after he had gotten a yes from this guy, I did also, and got Jared on the phone with me because I'm like, this is a sticky situation. I don't know what to do with it. And then Jared, he's listening, he's like, this sounds so familiar. And he was like, oh, I'm working on this with somebody else. And so I've been listening to this unfold, and he's making such a crap ton of money that I am like, oh my God, that could have been me. Like, this could have been me right now. So if you're sitting there like waiting to make phone calls, just know somebody else is on it and taking action just like you are. So yeah, it's hard to hear this unfold because it's like, I don't know. I'm so happy for him, but I needed that.
It's a bittersweet. Like you're happy that
yeah, I
we got
am.
the deal,
it is. I'm green with envy for sure.
There's some FOMO there, right?
Yeah.
It's understandable. And
Yeah.
it's funny when you called me because I don't think we didn't have the address right away, but like it was like, yeah, he's on the phone right now. Let's talk to him. And as I was taking notes and I like put two together and saw his name. Oh, wait a minute, we've already talked. Remember, like I talked to you like 2 days ago. We were doing this and this because I was dealing with his partner, and I talked to not Raul. What's his name? Robert. Before that, and so it's kind of funny. It's just like, oh wait, we already got this. And the thing is like, that's the thing. Like to Heather's point, guys, it's like someone's gonna make money. So just using Carl as an example, he has 25 leads right now that he's working on. Someone's gonna make money on those leads, whether that's Carl or someone else. Someone's gonna make money somehow. May not be right away, may not be, in that particular way. It could be the seller just sells it down the road and makes money on it or whatever. So if we're not taking action, someone's gonna jump on it. So like the fear of FOMO, I mean, that should be a real thing when you're looking at your leads and list, and when's the right time to take action. I ask you, when would now be a good time? Now would be a good time because now.
Now would be a good time. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, phenomenal. I mean, it's great for creating. Yeah, but it's a good lesson to learn, right? That's just the thing. So when you're thinking,
when you say next, like I almost got that one deal too with that lady clear out in BFE,
Oh, with
And she's
Minersville.
going to foreclosure today, like yesterday. Like that couldn't be stopped. So
Yeah, that was, and that was nothing because you didn't take action or anything. There
yeah.
wasn't much we could do.
There's just, I keep having these deals slip through my fingers throughout this little bit of challenge, and it's discouraging, and it's hard sometimes to shake it because you feel like, okay, like, is this for me? And then I don't know. It's challenging sometimes. You gotta just shake it off. Next day is the next day. I don't know. It's sometimes a lot.
No, absolutely. And I think, Heather, a lot of people are feeling the same way. There's so many. I mean, I can't tell you. Like I had in December, I had like four. There was like four deals where I was working on, and everything was what was looking great. And then like all of them just disappeared, like all four. So I didn't close a single deal December. Nothing. That's not like, I mean, like really that doesn't happen very often. So it's like, but I had like four of them, so I was spending the time on it. And I was working it, and for one reason or another, throughout that month, all four just kind of crumbled because that's just gonna happen sometimes, and it
Yeah,
sucks.
I've
And
had 5 right now that I just kind of was like,
yeah,
it was a lot.
that's why it's important to understand the concept of next, like knowing that it's going to happen, whether it's this deal or the next, it's going to happen, or it's this property or the next property, it's going to happen. And we become disattached to the result, which is hard to wrap your head around sometimes. It was for me at first.
Yeah.
Especially when you're seeing, like, when everything you look at seems like a mirage. I think, can anyone relate to this? I think there's more people in here that can relate to this, right? Where it's like you're working on stuff and just kind of putters out. That's why, like, having like a follow-up system, like I'm talking about today, but just continually moving on and not being stuck off of that disappointment that happened. There was a deal in Grantsville that another partner and I were working on, that were supposed to close tomorrow actually, but it looks like it's a dead deal. And it's because without going into too long the story, but there was a very large wholesaling a real estate company here in Utah. They're one of the largest in Utah. I'm not going to say their name, but they were doing fraudulent things. They were lying. They lied to us. They lied to the seller because they were involved and they had to be for this particular situation. But they were just being outright dishonest, and I've never seen as much a shadiness from a deal than I have from this one that just kind of pooped. So we're talking about even getting attorneys involved, and in fact, my partner, he sent all the information to an attorney to take a look at it. But that's not. I mean, I'm more of like letting it go. But the point of me saying all that is just like there's stuff that's going to happen that it's going to put a wrench in the gears. So the difference is like, if actually, one thing I love about Heather is that even though that she may have those 5 deals that just poofed on her, there were mirages at the time. But as long as you don't give up, you're gonna find that stride, and knowing that the being an entrepreneur, being a business, there's seasons to it, and there's like personal seasons, because there will be plenty of times where I had partners and buddies of mine where they've had a couple months and nothing, and during that time I was closing like 10, 15 deals, and and on the reverse side of the things too. So it's like it's okay to have ups and downs as long as you don't give up and you're planning for stuff like that too, right? And you'll have more ups and downs as you're starting out than you will as you're getting momentum behind you, for obvious reasons, right? Because you know more what you're doing, so you know how to close. You know, you have better relationships with other people that might be able to jump in or help in certain scenarios. So it's going to get less and less of those deals that kind of just crumble. But with that being said, just because those deals kind of crumbled, um, doesn't mean that they're not going to be a deal. Because like, there's been plenty of times where it's been a long time, 18 months, 12 months from first contact to actually closing, and that's because if you have a follow-up system. So for whatever reason, because even if it's like, oh, I someone else can take an offer, okay, cool, I'm still going to follow up and see if this. Oh yeah, we're going to close next month. Okay, cool. Is it okay if I reach out to you and to see how things are going in about a month? Is that okay? And then you reach out to them and have a conversation. Then it's like, oh, well, crap, yeah, this guy pulled out because blah blah blah. Oh, are you still interested in selling? I mean, you'd be surprised how often that happens. especially when they get realtors involved, because a lot of realtors, not all of them, but whether it's intentional or not intentional, I don't want to debate that or not. That's kind of individual, but they want to be the hero. And so they'll talk to someone that's in distress and like, oh yeah, don't take that cash offer. We'll list it and I'll get you an extra 100,000 off of it. But they're running comps off of like ARVs of like actual really nice properties, and the property they're trying to sell is distressed. And either the agent doesn't know enough, they're just ignorant, they don't know, ignorant is probably the wrong word, unexperienced to know that, and the broker didn't tell them that either, or whatever the reason is. But they just want the listing and know it's not going to sell for that price. There's agents that do that. So then following up with them, that's a key point. Like in a month later, you're calling, well, how are things going? Because I know you had to close in 2 months before that job opportunity goes away. How are things going? Just want to make sure everything's okay with you guys. And you'll be shocked in the amount of times where it didn't work out as you planned, as they planned, I should say. Because that's what happens a lot of times. Then if you're front of mind, they're going to want to deal with you. So backing up a little bit, following up, if it's like they're not going to make a decision right now, or they're saying no, they're going to go with a different offer, or maybe just not the right time, whatever it is, okay? They're telling me no. I will usually have some sort of statement leaving the door open for a follow-up. And that statement could be something along the lines of, and depending on when it is, right? Or depending when their challenge is happening, if it's a foreclosure or like new job opportunity, whatever their reason for selling, right? But I'll say like, okay, yeah, if this offer doesn't make sense for you, totally makes sense. Or you want to listen with the agent, totally get it. I mean, I'm not a fan of paying an extra 30,000, but I mean, I get you more, then I can see why you consider something like that. It makes perfect sense. Would it be okay if or would you be opposed if I checked up and to see how things are going in about like a month or so? Is that okay? They always say yes. Yeah, sure. What? Yeah. I've never had anyone tell me no. Like never. I mean, maybe they said yes, and maybe some of them wanted to say no, but they wanted to be polite. I mean, that's entirely possible, but that's fine. They give me permission to call back to follow up. And so with the follow up, what I did, especially at the very beginning, and I still do this today, but what I'll do is like, okay, cool. So I was just in the phone call with Heather. She's the seller, and she wanted to, I gotta wait till next month because we're doing the probate, like the probate scenarios all going on or whatever. Which I almost went into tangent, but so whatever happens, she needs to wait for X amount of time. She's not gonna make a decision now for whatever reason. Okay, cool, awesome, Heather. Can I reach out to you in a month to see how things are going? Yeah, no problem. Sweet. As soon as I'm done with that conversation, because I have to do it right then, because then I'll just forget it. But I will open up my Google Calendar, and I'll just put in a month from now, and I'll put in follow up with Heather. I'll create an event. Excuse me. I'll create an event. Follow up with Heather, or task depending on what kind of calendar you're using. Follow up with Heather. Blank blank. The reference address is XYZ. She wanted to wait, and you can put in some details like actually in the event that you're creating in the calendar. And so, and I'll create a couple of them because sometimes I need a couple of reminders, and then it'll pop up for my day because I live on my calendar. Like what appointments I have. Oh, okay, great. Oh, I don't remember this person. Let me look it up. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Heather was dealing with X, Y, Z. Cool. When you do follow up, you can put in there, what I like to put in is as promised. Don't use the words follow up. Let me back up a little bit, guys. Okay. I want everyone to solemnly swear that we're not going to use the words follow up to a customer or to a seller. We all promise me that. The follow up is the FU. Those are follow up. Those are thank you, Laura, for promising. I promise. Thank you. So we got Laura and Heather. They're promising. That's good. All right, here we are. Now we got some more people. Okay. We don't want to use the word follow up. Why would we not want to use that word? Any thoughts?
What all salesmen say.
Exactly. Exactly. You sound like every other salesperson in the world. Follow up. Oh, hey, I'm just following up I'm circling back on. You sound like a salesperson. And where is the status? Because again, who's the prize in the conversation? Like, if we are the buyers and the sellers have some sort of challenge. They're motivated to sell. We don't have to buy that property to make money. We can buy different properties. We have other options. And for them to solve the problem, they can't solve it themselves. They need us to solve it. They need us to buy the problem, to buy their house and remove their problem from them. So who's the prize here? Is it them or you?
Them, isn't it?
Well, we're the prize. You're the prize. Laura, you
Oh.
are the prize. When you're talking to people, and I'm not saying like being arrogant about it and like, oh yeah, you need my help, but it changes your countenance and how you're interacting with them.
Mindset.
And how, so if I need Rachel to sign this contract, because I really need to meet that 15,000. I haven't closed a deal in 2 months. And I just need her, I need her to sign that contract. I'm gonna come across, even if I don't say those things, I'm gonna come across as with commission breath is the best way to describe it. We've all had salesmen like that. They're pushy, they're trying to, convince you to certain things. But if I know I'm the prize and I'm disattached to whatever the outcome is with me talking to the seller, Rachel, then I come across differently, right? Because I know like either she's going to sign, either we're going to get this under contract with her or someone else. I got 3 other leads coming in. So it's important to keep things moving too, to help you with that mindset. Because at first when you have like this is a small handful of leads, or like the first person talking to you, or like a dog with a bone, like this is awesome. Hopefully they sign the contract or extend my offer. But when it's a different mindset of like, yeah, I'm disattached from this result. I'm the prize. And so if you're saying stuff like, if you're sounding like a salesperson, then it's like you become really easy to blow off, really easy to ignore, because you're just a salesperson in their eyes. You're just a guy or gal that's trying to steal their equities in their thoughts, right? You're just one of those people. Versus, I'm a real human being. I want to see what I can do to help. I'm gonna make some money along the way, sure, but let's find that win-win. It's a complete different conversation, complete different way of communicating, and it's a lot of it's like subtle stuff that's just subconscious that we don't even realize we're doing. Like when someone has commission breath, we've all experienced commission breath, right? Everyone knows what I'm talking about when I say commission breath. Yeah, we've all experienced that, whether you're on the receiving end or the giving end. We've all had that. And so it's not a fun experience for anyone, but when it's more relaxed and chill, that's a whole nother world. So instead of using the words follow up, some different phrases, things you can do. One phrase is as promised. Hey, Aubrey, as promised, or hey, Aubrey, everything's doing, hope you're doing awesome. As promised, we were talking 6 weeks ago about selling your property, 123 Fake Street. You asked me to kind of follow up with, or not follow up, I almost did it myself. See, you asked me to reach out to you and give you a call and see how things are going. That's it. As promised, I am texting you, see how things are going with XYZ promise or XYZ address. As promised is phenomenal. Because then like it does a couple different things here when you're saying the words like as promised. One, you're letting them know like you're a person of your word, like you're committing. You're like, I said I was gonna do something, and I did it. That, especially if they've been in the ringer with other potential buyers or agents or whatever, and having someone that actually just follows through what they say is so refreshing, especially if they've been in it for a minute, like after the world's kicked them around a bit. So as promised is phenomenal. So it's like you're kind of indicating like one, like they've almost asked you to follow up, I mean, even though they haven't, but they were at least okay with it, and you promise you do it, so you're doing it. Another one is I got from a buddy of mine, Josh. Are you on here, Josh? Josh isn't here. Shame on you, Mr. White. Shame on you. Anyways, he's not on the call, but I'm still shaming him. So I got this from Josh and I liked it a lot. So he said, "Hey, I had it on my calendar to shoot you a text message today. How are things going?" So it's just like, and just being honest, like, how are things going with XYZ property? Or, so I had it on my calendar to shoot you a text, or had it on my calendar to give you a call. Can I call you today at 12? Or if you're doing text message, for example, or whatever, right?
Hey, Jared.
Yes.
A phrase that I like to use is wanted to see how things were coming along with that, because at that point it's like not going, because they may not have even started, but you say coming along, it's like, oh, I needed to do something, right?
I like that. I like that. Well, and this is a great opportunity. So in Never Split the Difference, the book Never Split the Difference, which I highly recommend everyone to read, by Chris Voss. I've mentioned it multiple times, but he talks about oh my gosh, I'm so scatterbrained sometimes.
Great book, by the way.
It is a great book, and I honestly lost my whole train of thought. Oh my gosh.
You're talking about whether, instead of saying how are things going, how are things coming along?
Yes. What was it? I lost my whole train. Oh well. See, guys, you don't gotta be smart to make money. I mean, I should give everyone hope. That's what if you didn't get anything from anything that I'm talking about, it's like, all right, if this bald Walmart guy can do it, shoot, anyway, I can do this. There's be no words. You don't need no words to be successful. It's all good. Anyways, yeah, don't sell myself short. So I appreciate it. I just, but yeah, definitely that's a good book. Everyone should read it. Gosh, what was I gonna say about that book though? It'll come to me as soon as we at 12:05. It'll come to me. So yeah, don't worry. Yeah, so following up with them, right? We're not seeing the words following up, but you're just reaching out. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, I remember now. This is a great opportunity to project a conclusion, because if it's the same scenario, if you're walking a property and it's a hoarder house, you don't want to say, oh yeah, I can definitely see why you want to sell this. This is like, how can someone live in this? Like, they've been living in that for the past 20 years. And so that'll offend them, and so that is, if you say something like that, even that's how you feel, it's going to be like, well, I mean, what do you mean? I just cleaned it. I cleaned the pathway. You can there's a pathway to the bathroom, and there's only a little bit of dirt on this. Well, it's like 6 feet high of just trash everywhere. In their mind, it is clean. Like, that's totally fine. They've been living in it for the past 20 years. Yeah, this is great. It's clean as it's ever been.
Trust me, they do not see it.
Right. It's just normal. It's just like if you had but if I say, like, this is I like this house. It has really good structure and layout. Like, why would you ever want to sell this beautiful house as it's like falling apart? Well, then it gives them the liberty to, oh, well, no, actually, yeah, I mean, there's a big hole in the ceiling, and every time it rains, it soaks my bed. That's why it starts to stink and blah, blah, blah. And they'll start saying, they will go the opposite end of whatever you're doing. So as far as like the following up scenario, if we're following up with the seller and that they're going to go with an agent or whatever, you can say something like, hey, as promised, I'm just reaching out to you. Like we talked about it before about XYZ property. You were going to list it with your agent. I'm sure by now you've already had someone give you a bunch of offers and you already took one that's accepted. That's what it is, how things were going. So I'm assuming something that's great for them. Like, it don't come across as like, you didn't sell it, did you? You want to sell it to me? It's more of like, hey, I'm sure you got everything handled. You got it figured out. What how did it go with the closing? You guys closing soon? And when someone says something incorrect about me or my situation, or just as a human, we will naturally correct them. So that's why you can even like when this is just negotiations or communicating with sellers in general, you can assume some things like, oh, I bet you have X, Y, and Z. I bet you're really upset about that, huh? Like, no, it wasn't so bad. Actually, it wasn't that bad because this, or I actually loved it because of, they'll correct you. Whether they, or it's like, hey, I bet your mortgage payment like what probably 2,000. Like, oh no, it's actually 1,600. Oh, okay, cool. See, before she probably wouldn't have told me the mortgage payment, but she's going to correct me automatically, or he or she, the seller, right? That's the same concept as far as like that's a great opportunity to project something, whatever's relevant to that situation, and for them to correct you, give you more information right then and there, and then you don't sound like seeing if the body's cold enough for you to loot it. You know what I mean? Perfect. Yeah, Christopher Voss. Dude, it's a killer book, guys. And it's on Audible. It's like a short listen. It's like 4-hour listen on regular speed. Put it ×2. You're done in like 2 lunch periods. You got the whole book in. Really, really good. Okay. Now with follow, another trick is, now I don't know if this is on iPhones or not. However, on Android phones, what we can do, we can actually do a scheduled send. So a scheduled send here, I'll see if I can, you guys can see it here. This is hard for me to, and focus. And there it is. So you see schedule send, the send button, schedule send. You can click on that schedule send button, say a time or date, like 6 weeks from the future, and write the message right then and there. Hit send or schedule, and in those 6 weeks or in 3 weeks or whatever, you don't even have to remember anything. It'll just send the message from your phone. And I mean, obviously from that point, if they respond, then it's gonna come to you and be like, what the heck? Oh, hey, that's right. You'll have notes about that person. So you'll understand kind of what's going on, or previous text messages like, oh, that's right. Cool. But yeah, you can set up, and for me, it's like, I got to do things like right away. Those I'm going to forget, distracted or whatever. My ADHD squirrel brain just loves that stuff. So I'll put it in the calendar, and or put in my schedule send. And there's lots of cool, fancy automated systems you guys can build and construct. I wouldn't necessarily go that deep until you're making some money, because it's a very easy rabbit hole to get to fall into when you're not making you maybe close 1 or 2 deals. I mean, I think, because at first you're not going to be dealing with a bunch. This is going to be like a handful of potential deals, potential leads. Because you can get thousands of leads making phone calls, but most of them aren't going to lead anywhere, right? You're calling 100 people, 1 or 2 people you're going to have conversations with, whether they want to sell it or not, or set an appointment. So even with 1,000 leads, you have like 10, 20 people max that you kind of keep track of. So you don't really need a really fancy system to do that. But you do need something. You need some sort of system, some sort of routine to have that follow up, if that makes sense. So I'm not necessarily knocking against CRM systems, but and you guys know yourselves better than anyone else. So you got to kind of ask yourself, if I get a CRM system, will it be easier for me to work on the CRM system instead of actually making a phone call? Or like, I'm a person that needs to have that system, so because I'm not going to follow up ever, even I put in whatever this, then cool, awesome. So ask yourself those honest questions. For the average person, for the vast majority of people, start making money, closing a deal a month or so, every other month. Okay, cool. Let's get it. Let's start getting some CRM systems depending on where your lead funnels are coming from. Okay. Okay, let's see here. We got some comments here. All right, Apple just got that recently. Okay, cool. So Apple has that too. All right, awesome. So Apple gets is it a separate app, or do you know? So it's On Android, it's just right in the it's just right in the keyboard. So you just put like, for me, I push the plus button and then it'll have a schedule send button on it. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Is it in the calendar app? Where's the button located? Oh yeah, in iPhone. That's a good question. All right. Yeah, this is some good comments here as iPhone users here. Yeah, you press the plus on the side and pull up the phone, gifts, and pin, drop, etc. Yeah, so it's exact same in iPhone and Android. Sounds like it's in the same area. Just put where the gifts are, that plus button, and then you'll see the schedule send. Phenomenal. Action takers, I love that. Yep. What other questions do you guys have, like on follow-ups, and how often should we do it, or when do we say no more, or what's your guys' questions so far that we kind of talked about? How often should we, or
I have a question about DL machine when you have a time to talk about it.
yeah, absolutely. Let's see if there's any other questions to follow up, and then we'll go to deal machine. Anybody?
I guess I have a question.
Yeah.
How often do you follow up, Jared? Because I don't want to be that naggy, annoying investor that comes across
Right.
as like desperate, but I don't want to miss opportunities either because
Sure.
obviously, like we've talked about, if they say yes to us, they'll probably say yes to other people who come along.
No, absolutely. Make perfect sense. So it depends on the situation. When do they think they're gonna have either it's an answer, or then when they're gonna make the decision, or whatever. Or if it's like straight up, no, I'm not interested. I'm not looking to sell. If it's like just kind of a generic thing, I'll put it in there for like a month, anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks later to have a follow up with them. If it's like follow up till, yeah, I like how this comment, till they die or sell. That is the method, right? So I'll put it out there for like 3 weeks, a month, depending on what's going on. Now, if the auction date is coming up in like 2 weeks, hey, can I call you next week and just see how things are going? So it does vary on when what their situation is, their timeline is. But if I had to put a blanket average, 3 to 4 weeks is a decent time for follow up, right? Depending on the situation. I take them off the list of follow ups. If I don't necessarily have a specific time, but I mean, you guys can work it out on as far as like if you have like, oh yeah, I'm done talking to this person, right? If they've already sold the property, so it's no longer a deal anymore, right? So maybe they sold it to someone else, they listed it, then they found a buyer. Maybe they're going through foreclosure, but they were able to fix it. I still like to follow up on those people still, because then it's like, if they're having a hard time now, they may have a hard time in the future at the same time, right? But maybe it's like once every 6 months at that point, where it's just like a quick text message. Because here's the thing, guys, the beauty of following up is being front of mind. That is key and crucial to the whole following up system, is being front of mind. So like, let's just say I'm about to lose my house, but then I had a family member, they lent me 20,000, I got caught up, I'm good to go. Hey, sorry, Lily, I'm not going to sell my property to you, but here's, we were able to figure it out. Cool, awesome. Is it okay if I reach out to you in 6 weeks or so, to make sure everything's okay, and see if there's, anything we do to help? Yeah, sure, yeah, no problem. Again, they always say yes. And then when you follow up with them, and they're probably just fine, and then the next month or whatever, then they're fine. And then when it gets in trouble, you're the one that's been consistently following up with them, showing that you care. And it could be just a simple text message, could be a follow-up. And if you can remember something, like put in a note. So for example, if I'm doing the schedule text thing, I will try to mention something about their personal life, whatever it may be. Like, hey, as promised, I'm just calling you or texting you back about your 123 fake address. And also, I was curious to know how Timmy's doing in soccer or something like that. I don't know, whatever, like maybe personal thing that they've as they're talking to. It makes them feel like you actually care about them. You're not just talking about. You're not just trying to buy their house, but you remembered something about them. A complete stranger remembered something about them or like whatever their hobby was or whatever. And the great thing about setting things up, like doing things now and have it automatically done later, like with the future text or just doing or even creating a calendar event for 6 weeks from now, but you're putting those notes in there as far as some extra things about their family or whatever, because you're not going to remember everything about everyone. That's for sure. I barely remember details of my own life, let alone someone else's. And yes, Aubrey, beautiful. Ask for referrals. Because even if you didn't help them and you built a decent relationship, you built rapport. Because I mean, if someone's calling me every month or so, or shooting me a quick text message, and I know someone like Carl needs to sell his house, like, oh, you know what? I got this guy that's been messaging me. He might be able to help you. Let me give you his number. Because you're front of mind, that's going to happen. Or like when the challenge hits again, maybe the job that they were hoping for didn't happen or whatever. Actually, I do need to sell. Oh yeah, Jared just messaged me last week. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna give him a call. Because I've had people that are on my follow up like schedule, and then they'll call me like in between that because I'm front of mind versus the 3 people that just called them like, hey, you're on the no default list. Can I buy your house? I stand out as long as I'm front of mind. If not front of mind, even though if they would have thought about, oh, I should have called you, didn't think about that. That'll happen. That will happen. But asking for referrals is phenomenal, right?
One more thing I want to add to that. Sometimes we ask or we take the call with thinking, how can I say this? We already have this in our thoughts what they're going to say. And sometimes we think we are making them uncomfortable. And we're like, it happened to me a lot of times. Like, I want to hang up the call. If they say, well, no, I'm going to sell. And I'm maybe thinking that I'm upsetting them. So therefore, I stop the conversation and I say, okay, thank you, bye. But instead of me thinking that, because I don't know what they're thinking, right? They may be upset, they may not. I don't know. And if we come with that attitude, not knowing what they're having in their mind, we can continue with the conversation.
That's really good, Lou. I'm glad you brought that up because we will talk ourselves out of deals or make things up more often than actually true. Like, oh, and it's super common. I did the epic presentation. We ended up doing some training afterwards in the Weber County out by Clearfield, and we were talking they were talking about some of the fears about doing cold calls just in general because that's where our conversation headed. And they all almost unanimously they're like, I don't want to be that annoying person that calls them. I don't want to be that I don't want them to hate me or to feel that I don't want to feel that rejection basically, right? So it's if we're disattached to the results and like I don't know, I mean, because if I call someone that really needs to sell their house and because they're in a tough situation because they're in the worst time of their lives, they're about to lose their house in foreclosure, they're getting divorced, they're going through bankruptcy, whatever the situation is that they need to sell their house quickly, they lost the job and now everything's kind of crumbling around. If they are married, that's always going to be buckling under all that pressure. And so like if you're when you're asking them, have you ever thought about selling, and they just give you a quick no because that's a natural reaction they're giving you. That doesn't mean that they're actually inside. They may desperately need your help, but because every single phone call they've been getting, every single message that they're getting is like, hey, remember you suck paying bills, you haven't paid your credit card, you haven't paid, they're hiding their cards from the repo man. It is just a nightmare, like the worst time of their lives, like the vast majority, it's the worst time of their lives. And so and then they get other investors calling about buying their house, and so even though they need to sell, because it all seems like an attack even though it's not, that's why they get some of those short answers. But in reality, if we just acknowledge the truth, this helps. This is what I find helps fear the most, or helps destroy fear, is just what do I know, what I do not know? Like, I really have no idea if this guy really wants to sell his house or not, or if he's really in trouble or not. Maybe he already has things figured out. And if he says, no, I don't want to sell, like, well, maybe he really does want to sell. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to assume. I'm going to find out. I'm going to ask another question. I'm going to see what else that's there. And so if we don't label something in the negative form, which we all do, myself included, like, I just want to get off the phone. Cool, no problem. Hang up. But if we just are open to, like, we're not labeling anything. We're open to continuing that conversation. You'll be surprised how many times, I can't tell you how many times I started a conversation and they're very tight and up and just closed off the very first. And then something I say or clicks in, kind of, oh, okay. Or the way I'm saying I'm building curiosity, like we've talked about, like as far as like the cold calling and knocking on doors, we're doing those things to kind of break down those barriers. Then they're open to have the conversation, which you wouldn't have had if you just hung up. So I'm glad Lily brought that up. It's a big comment challenge. What other questions do we have on follow up or was that?
If that's okay. I mean, I think also just being able to realize that even if it doesn't necessarily isn't a deal for you, doesn't mean you still can't help them out. And, you know, in the future, it may end up helping you as well. Like, you know, if they want to sell, you know, figuring out if they have a realtor and hooking them up with people, you know, figuring out, you know, if they need help with finances and being able to help them that way, because then they really see you as somebody that is there helping them on their team, giving them the hope, even if they don't really need, you know, to sell their house to you right now. Like, it could pay off in the future, and planting seeds sometimes is just as important, you know. And yeah, anyway.
No, that's phenomenal. I love that, because you'll be surprised on how many times, like, when you're talking to people and you're following up with them, you're building that relationship, and then they're like, oh, but I got my buddy Frank that actually he might be looking to sell. I told him about you. Oh, cool, awesome. I paid up to $5,000 in referral fees. So if I buy your buddy Frank's house, I'll give you $5,000. Depending on the numbers, you know, maybe 2 to 3, whatever your number is, that's okay. But well said, Nate. Definitely, 100%.
Also, I just wanted to say also, kind of tying this back to what you said earlier, Jared, about reminding ourselves that we are the prize. If we think in that mindset, we can apply that to this, what you're saying right here too. Yeah. And like when Lily said it was, and when you were saying, you know, you just want to get off the phone with somebody, you don't want to, when you realize that you are the one that's maybe going to be able to help them when nobody else can, meaning you are the prize.
Right. It changes the whole mindset, and doing and making sure you have an avatar, like we talked about before, is having an avatar of your ideal seller. What it is like, and then it's like, oh, you know, that person was abrupt to you, like, oh, but poor my avatar's name's Maria. Oh, Maria, even though it's John that's answering, but Maria probably just needs a little. I need to get through her walls to help her. You know, and so it's just like, okay, yeah, that of course you're going to be abrupt and want to get me off the phone because you think I'm like everyone else, and that's okay. I get that. Like, it's part. Oh yeah, of course you are. Yeah. But let me do these things to break through that wall, and then we have a real conversation, and see if she ends up being the ideal seller. Right? I love it.
I'll tell you that if you offer somebody a referral fee and then you show up with it, there's a good possibility there'll be tears involved when you hand them that money.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and when you pay someone their first referral fee, they'll usually give you more. Like, they'll start looking, like, what, especially after the first one, then they're like, oh, this is real. I just made $2,000 and I just gave this guy a phone number of my friend. What the, okay, let me see who else I know. They start scouring, you know what I mean? They'll start like they'll be like one of your best bird doggers than anyone else, right? Because it's just like, yeah, this is proof. This is real. You know, I had a couple of people that were like, once they started sending me deals, like, I didn't just pay them once. Let's put it that way. So I mean, it's cool. Lily, so you had some questions, or you had a question on Deal Machine, or comment?
Yeah, well, actually, yesterday we were thinking about making a big group. Initially, I wanna join with 2 members that wanna do like the what's it called,
the 3 sign on
the
or
pro best value, but then I
Mhm.
receive people saying I want to participate as well. And then we had so far like 8 or 9 people that are interested on doing this, but we need 15. So to make sense, and the best value, as I mentioned in the group, it would be if we go cash, right, the whole year.
Mhm.
If we go the whole year, basically we can go. It will be like 27.6 a month, which makes like 332 a year. And if we pay this at one time, once a year, then we don't have to worry for 12 months, and we will have access. I had a chance to talk to one of the representatives yesterday, and well, one of the things he said is, well, we have 15 users. Basically, we don't have 15 logins, 15. We don't have to crash with others. It's your own database, your own leads, and also they will give us a virtual number if we want to use a different number. I've never used none of this, quite honest. Sounds interesting though. But I want you to just tell me, since you've been using this deal machine, how you actually you mentioned this yesterday about between this and iOS, that this has more features, and the best is like we can share. We can have 15 users. This has well the option. Well, go ahead and just tell us more about this. If it's worth to do this, I'm willing to just to help the whole group if we're going this, but we need more people.
Yeah. It's for $37 a month for any type of program like that is a freaking steal, guys. So regardless of like, if you can swing and it makes sense when Lily was telling me that earlier too. Like, if you're paying for a year, because if you're doing it per month, and for Lily's sanity, there's no way that she's gonna have to go collect 15 people like the $30 or $40 a month or whatever it ends up to. Like, that's insane. So yeah, it makes perfect sense to do it like the upfront and pay one time 300x $300 plus to have access for a full year. I mean, it's pretty killer deal, guys. I'm not gonna lie. With the deal machine, I love that it has the app. Then you can do it on. Then it has the website as well, which is not iOS doesn't have an app, so it's like if you want to use it on your phone on the fly, you have to open the browser, which is fine, but it's not quite as user friendly. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah,
He also said that one of the things that I didn't know, that they update daily. Like if the house is sold, it's no longer a good lead, it will not appear on your system anymore. So that's a good thing. Also in the driver for dollars, I think it's already included on this package.
Yep.
And also has AI assistant. Like, for instance, you don't know what to say about investing. I mean, how do I word it? Especially if you have English is your second language, they will help you a lot what to say, right? And so yeah,
I was impressed with the AI stuff. I've been playing with that a lot recently, and it's pretty good. Like when we were making phone calls, I was using the not Mojo, the deal machine dialer, and it did have like a little AI button to push, like, what do I say here, and I could push it, and it gave me like a little thing to say. And even like a voice message, it created a voice message, like, and I think it played it for everyone, but it was like and not as good as a Jay Massey voice message when it kind of like cuts in half. But as far as a regular, like, it talked about the address that they were calling on, and I could just click it and move on. So like the dialer alone is really amazing. Plus the leads that you get, I think they're better leads than Renaissance iOS. I really do. Because it's not just a pre-foreclosure absentee, but it's like has the zombies. You can get this type of stuff from Renaissance iOS. You have to really do those upgrades. So, which is like an extra 1,000, 2,000, depending on what package you're getting. So, I don't know. The biggest bang for the buck is definitely Deal Machine, in my opinion. But
yeah, and you can export your leads also in your own database, and then you can just call them however you want to call them. You know, and yeah, again, for me, what I find the value is finding the properties. For instance, I was just giving a try. I want to find people that bought houses between 19 and 21 when the rates were down. So all of them have a 3% or 2 point whatever. This is my niche. I want to just talk to these people, and on top of that, I add another filter, like if they are in default. So it gave me and just in Sandy, I got 87 leads that I can contact. Well, that was the demo that the guy was doing. So I was like, hey, it's interesting to find what we're looking for depends on our needs. So yeah, basically what we need is we have 8 people so far. If any of you still have not signed up or are thinking about it, let us know so we can just move fast, and maybe by the end of this week we already have access to this and start working and getting our leads and making our phone calls.
I love it. And so because of the like what is are we able to do like the dialer as well, or is that kind of like with the multiple stuff? Because I understand we talked a little bit about we don't want with it being one account but 15 different sign-ons. Like, can we have multiple cards? So if I wanted to send out mailers, can I have my card on top of there without people accessing it if we're doing
That's
multiples?
one of the things thank you for mentioning that. So will be only one card on the and someone said, I don't know if you back me up on this, Jared. If I want to do mailing, I mean, if I just send 50 mailers, it won't do nothing to my business. I have to send a lot of mailing to see the result.
Right.
And the mailing is, of course, is what 75 cents or 57 or 60 cents a piece. So it's additional. So I mean, if we are starting looking for properties, perhaps we don't want to do the mailing, and if that's the case, then maybe some of you have to give a credit, like, hey, Lily, I want to do mailing. I want to have this is $50 extra of whatever you want to use, because I don't want to just charge my account. I can have I keep the account who's charging, who's not. That will be kind of pain for me, and I'm just trying to just make an easy way for everyone to pay only 330, something like that. I mean, I think it's a deal, but yeah.
So they still can send out mailers, but they just have to get with you and like, hey, let me Venmo you a couple $100, and then because I'm gonna send out the mailers out. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would
Cool.
say so. Yeah.
And the because you can also pay for the calling license, because as of right now, like if you just do the sign up, it charges like per minute using the dialer.
Yes, it charges per minute.
But you can also buy a calling license for like $100.
Yes.
I don't know. It'd have to be like each sign on would have to do something like that.
They said yes. Listen, if the guy said if you want to buy the license for a month, unlimited calls, yes, they can give that option to every user.
Okay. So gotcha. So we jumped in with you. Then we can buy. I can put in my card and buy the unlimited use. But would that be work for the entire all 15 of us if that's the case?
No, then the 99 unlimited is just for one user.
Oh, okay, got it. So I can go in and still pay for the 99.
Yeah.
For to use the dialer.
Right.
And then
or also I've seen people that they are partnered up with Mojo Dialer, like, and say, hey, 3 or 4, and they use like, oh, I'm gonna call between 10 to 12. You're gonna call between 12 to whatever. So that way they can also, minimize the expenses when they're starting this business.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So like if we had one, and that would be we would be sharing the account sign-ons in that scenario, if like using the same dialer, right? So if it's like if I got in with you and then I paid for the $100 license to call, and then I gave, hey Nate, I'm only going to call from 1 to 3. If you want to call different anytime between, then here's my sign on. You can sign on and call for that time frame. Something like that. Would that? I mean, there's obviously some pros and cons to that. But.
Yeah, I heard, again, I don't have a Mojo Dialer, but I heard some people is doing like that, so they can just share the time and maybe rotate. Well, next week, instead of taking the day, I want to take it in the afternoon so I can find other type of people. Those are ideas that I can do.
Just throwing ideas. No, makes perfect sense. And Marjorie asked, what's the difference between Mojo Dialer and Deal Machine? So Mojo Dialer is just a dialer. That's all it is. You can upload. Oh, it has a little bit more. There's some lead functions if you want to pay some extra money on it, but it's a really good dialer. It does have skip tracing on it if you pay an extra $50 a month. And you can get some leads like expiring and whatnot, but that costs extra per month. The deal machine is a little bit of an all in one system where there's multiple functions. If I want to look up a bunch of leads, like I want to find all of the absentee owners, all the listings that are in this area, or what are the expired listings, or what are the foreclosures, divorces I saw in here too. Show me my area. What are those? And then I can start calling those people. Also, like if I'm driving by and I see distressed property, I can just open the app in the map in the app, and just click on that house, and it'll give me all the information as far as the phone number goes, all that information. I can send a mailer. So the deal machine is more of like a all-in-one. The only where Mojo Dialer stands out, that's a lot better than Deal Machine in the dialer system, is that Mojo it dials 3 numbers at once. Deal Machine's 1 at a time.
That's true.
But however, the Deal Machine numbers they're pulling, the little I've used on the dialer, it's actually been more accurate than the ones that Mojo's been giving me. So even though it's only 1 dialing, I still think it's pretty good.
Yeah, And just real quick, Patrick gave me his phone number, but I think Zach Lamano, he's interested, but I don't have his phone number. He want to send it as well, so we can put it on the list. And what I'm planning to do is just texted me. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zach. So the other thing that I'm doing is I'm going to jump. Maybe tomorrow when I sign up for the program, and we have 7 days trial, and everyone that is interested. I mean, I already have like 8 or 10 people when I put on this trial. And go from there, hopefully by the end of the trial, we still have the 15 people and answering Heather's question. No, the price that we have is based on 15 people. If we don't get the 15 people, we may have to cancel it, right? But at least we can just give it a try for 7 days.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be ended up with 2,000 in my pocket. I mean, out of my pocket.
Hey, Lily, did I send you my phone number?
And no, I know you said you wanted it, but I don't have your phone number. Can you just text?
Okay, I'll text it over to you.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Carl.
You're welcome.
So I think we're completing. I have a few other people texting me right now, so hopefully it's 15 of us and we can make it happen,
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, like, even it's such a killer deal, guys, for a program like this, and like for $300 or $37 a month. Even if you're spending an extra $99 for the dialer, $140 a month is still a killer deal for a program like that, and everything else included, right? So, and if you don't have to do the dialer every single month too. It's just like, oh, I'm not going to make any, like I got 4 deals in the works. I don't have any time to make any phone calls for the new ones, so I'm just going to focus on this or whatever. It's pretty good. And if there are like,
I wish I was at a point where I had too many deals coming in.
That's a good problem to have, isn't it? Yeah, that's right.
It would be a problem I would love to have right now.
Okay, we're over the time. Does anyone else have any closing questions or comments, not just on Deal Machine, or just follow up? Go ahead.
Yes, Jared. Yesterday, you was showing and testing the voicemail, the AI voicemail.
Yeah.
Is that included on your basic package, or did you pay extra for that thing?
That's with the dialer. So that comes with the dialer, and then there's AI functions. So I can click on a property and have it analyze, like do an analysis on this, and it'll give me, okay, if you're going to wholesale, this is the price. And I did it to quite a few of them yesterday, the day before, and it's pretty, like I was just playing around with it, excuse me, and it's pretty, I mean, for just an AI quick little like 2-second response, it's pretty close. Like it's great if like someone's like, if you're like knocking on doors, but I want a price right now, or like, or their opportunity to come and have a conversation. If I don't have time to run back and run my numbers and everything, like I can do like in tentative, I can offer you 265,018 cents. It gives you a shooting from the hip. Like don't, it's not an end all by any means. It's just a place to start. And then before you actually get things under contract, then you do your due diligence, and even after the fact.
So basically, you have to add the dialer license then, because there's a dialer license option and the voicemail license as well.
And is showing up as different?
Yes, he does.
Huh. I don't know. I didn't get charged anything extra for that, at least that I know of.
Yeah,
Maybe
at the
maybe
bottom
I'll
of the
see it
at
on
the-
this month's bill, but
yeah, at the bottom of the pricing page, it
yeah,
shows those two options.
sure. And I'm still
Now, is that between the basic and the pro? Is there a difference when it comes to the dialer or the voicemail?
I know the basic of the pro is like how many sign-ons. One of the biggest things is how many sign-ons you can have. So the pro, you're gonna have 3 sign-ons, and the basic is only 1. And the thing is, like, even if you're not like partnering with other people, what you can do is like if you have someone that's gonna do a bunch of driving for dollars for you, like they're gonna drive around looking for properties, then you're gonna give them like a finder's fee. You can give them a sign on to this, and you can see where they're driving, what they're marking. Like the list will be automatically uploaded to what you got going on, and they can start doing mailers right from the app too on that sign on. Like you say, okay, anything you see that's like this, just go ahead and start a mailer. Like I already know I'm gonna pay for it, so it's fine. So that's a pro. But as far as the dialer, I would have to take a look a little deeper on. We'll find out. We can. There's small differences, but I don't remember the dialer top of my head. When you go into the site show, yeah.
Regardless, I think it's a steal price. You know, by they doing by group.
Yeah.
For the 15 users, I think it's a good price. Great price.
Oh yeah, it's a phenomenal price, 100%. Even if
For
you
a
don't
great
want to use the
service.
dialer at all, then
Yeah.
it's like $37 a month. Like, get out of town. You pay more for Netflix. I mean, come on. Netflix doesn't make any money. But again, if that's not even your budget or whatever, that's fine too. There's plenty of other ways of finding deals. You don't have to have this program to get lists or doing any of that stuff either. There's ways of doing
that can
just
be
putting away equity.
Hey,
What
that
was
can
that?
be a challenge. That can be a challenge. Disconnect Netflix, buy Deal Machine, and then pay for Netflix.
Yeah, when Steel Machine pays for your Netflix, then you do it. I like that. I can watch Netflix again once I close X amount of deals, or once I, yeah, I like that.
If all you're getting is enough money to pay for your Netflix, you're doing something wrong.
Well, you're getting close the first deal. You'll have enough money for pay for Netflix. All right, guys. Yeah, it's 12:10. We're gonna call it a wraps. Phenomenals. Saturday, I'll post in there, and we'll go over it tomorrow too, as far as the door knocking bonanza on where we're all meeting. It's gonna be in like West Valley area. It might be Magna. Do you guys prefer Magna? Should we try Magna this time? That's it. That's a very Walmart area. I've done a lot of deals in Magna. I like Magna.
Yes, that's right.
Let's do it.
Let's do Magna. Okay. I'll put an address in of a good little, a smaller park, so we don't get lost and half of us meet in whole other side of the park. Oopsie. But yeah, I'll put an address in. We'll figure this out. It's all good. Okay. Awesome, guys. Well, appreciate y'all. Let's keep taking action and post your MMAs, guys. Like put in the community what your MMAs are, what are you doing, and get support, get ideas. You can be inspiration for a lot of people what you're doing and able to do, and you're gonna get inspiration and ideas. Like, oh, I never thought about doing something like that. It's a great idea. I'm gonna do that. Communication. So put in there your money making activities, what you're doing, and it's gonna be phenomenal. Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you guys all tomorrow. Adios.
Thanks. Bye.